All right, I have to re-record this because I messed up the audio, and I have to avoid saying "like I said" because I barely ever re-record a video if I mess up, but when I do during the re-recording, I'll be like I said, and that's just going to confuse people because they'll be like, you never actually said that, and I'll have to be like, oh, to clarify in the video that you guys never saw because it was deleted. So, anyways, I went to the GNX tour in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it was amazing. I'm not into the whole vlogging concert experiences thing. I have no issue with anyone that records a lot of videos of them going to a concert, but this was, the stop on the tour that I was going to. If I was flying up to Philly the next day or the day after that to go see the next stop in the show, maybe then I'd be like, you know what, we'll record a lot during one, and the other one I'll just vibe. But no, I was just, and to be honest with you, I feel like if I went another time, I still would not record because I don't know. I'm just not that kind of person. I realize that it's good views and stuff like that, but it's just not really what I'm into when I go to a concert. And to be honest, I see a lot of people complaining about everyone having their phones out. This is what comes with being at the level where you can perform stadium shows. There's already been discussions about the difference in energy levels of people on the floor versus people up in like the nosebleeds, right? And I don't think that this is necessarily like a thing across the board. I just think that people were uploading videos of shows, and the people up in the nosebleeds knew every song like word for word by both like Kendrick and SZA. And then they would show like some of the floor seats, and there were people like kind of dancing, but they didn't seem to know all the words or something like that. I really only saw that at one show. I don't think the Charlotte show was like that. The crowd was very loud there, but it's obviously easy to kind of just like be in your section and think, damn, it's loud over here. This entire crowd is insanely loud. But my entire area knew every single song, including people around me that were going bar for bar in the same way that I was. And as I've said before in other videos, I have been a Kendrick fan for a very long time. So let's just say when it comes to going bar for bar in these songs, yeah, and the energy there was just phenomenal as well. Like, it was crazy how they would switch between Kendrick and SZA, and every single time, and obviously they have songs together too, but it was like clear kind of cuts in like the set where they would kind of change the overall imagery and everything. And every single time the crowd was going insane for both Kendrick and SZA. Like, Kendrick and SZA at this point can just do their own separate stadium tours and just sell tickets. I mean, I think it's blatantly obvious. I think with SZA, it might seem more blatantly obvious because she's more on the pop side of things. But I mean, I said this in the other video, the one that was deleted that you guys didn't see. SZA is insanely talented. Like, I mean, we knew this. You know what I mean? I'm more of a Control era SZA fan. Less of an, I guess I would say less of an SOS fan. As if that wasn't a good album, it was a good album, but I liked Control a lot. But that being said, she sounds so good live. Like, and maybe that sounds like a crazy thing to say, but you'd be surprised how many times you go to see an artist live and they're not quite hitting the notes, they're not quite holding it, or they got like a lot of backing vocals. She did not have backing vocals. She sounded amazing. She can dance. And I mean, she's literally got everything going to be a absolutely huge, like not just like a big pop star, but like an absolutely huge pop star. I think at this point, she's, showing consistency. And I feel like, I mean, I've said this many, many times about TDE. If you're a fan of TDE and the artists in TDE, one thing you'll notice is just how consistent they are. Like Isaiah Rashad, Schoolboy Q, J Rock, Absol, like obviously Kendrick and SZA, but all of the artists from TDE have just put out some of my favorite albums of all time. And SZA is like a great addition to that entire lineup because, I mean, just genuinely, she sounds amazing. Now, my wife we'll say she was more there for SZA, but she also likes Kendrick, and I was more there for Kendrick, but I also like SZA. Kendrick And I made note about this, right? Because I talked about the fact that it was pouring rain, and I thought that would have an effect on the crowd. And there was a period where DJ Mustard was performing when the crowd was like, I'd say like half, maybe a little over half full. And my wife was like, "Where is everybody?" And I was like, just wait." And no joke, when Kendrick came out, you could blink and the stadium was full. I mean, obviously they have the seats behind the stage where, I mean, you can't buy those tickets. You can't sit back there; it's blocked off, and that's because you wouldn't be able to see anything. It's behind the stadium, or not behind the stadium, behind the stage. Um, but every seat that they could possibly sell, I mean, don't get me wrong. There might have been some people that decided to not want to go through with the rain. Those people that have that extra expendable income, they don't mind about spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a ticket and being like, I guess I won't go. I don't want to go in the rain. But I'm sure you've seen the videos. And I say this because, like, we do live in an era right now where there's a lot of cope going on about the success of Kendrick. And as somebody that's been a Kendrick fan for a very, very long time, I'm very excited to see these stadium shows. And like I said, there's people that have been pointing out that they feel like the people on the floor seats are not day one fans, and the people up in the nosebleeds are day one fans. Maybe there's something to it. I've been where we were is kind of like in the middle of the pricing tier of the overall ticket prices, and everyone in my area knew all the lyrics. And like for songs like All Right, it literally made the seating feel unsafe with how much people were moving. But that was my little area. That's the cool thing about a stadium, is that there's so many people there that in your area, you'll think like, we're for sure the loudest section in this entire place. But you don't know, because that section over there might also be loud. And you just don't know because you're all the way over here. But the people in the front, they know. They hear it all. And I mean, just to kind of go through everything in regards to like Kendrick sets, because obviously I'm more of a Kendrick fan, and I'm gonna go bar for bar with every Kendrick song. There's SZA songs that I really like, but I'm not gonna go bar for bar with like every SZA song. Kendrick songs, what can I say? Money Trees was played, Swimming Pools, Mad City, although there's a flip on it that I'm sure at this point, if you don't know, you'll find out. Sweet Love was played in the background instead of the regular Mad City instrumental. We got Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. We got a decent amount of Good Kid, Mad City. We got All Right, we got King Kunta, we got we got Humble, we got Love, we got DNA. For Mr. Morale, we got Count Me Out, we got N95. Like, we got a little bit of everything. We didn't get any Section 80 stuff, which I don't know. At this point, it's, that album came out in 2011. So I don't necessarily expect, like, when you have as many hits as he does, that's the crazy thing. It's crazy to think that if you're a Kendrick fan, that set with him and SZA was so long, and yet there's still many, many songs where I could be like, oh man, I wish you could have played this. I wish you could have played These Walls. I wish you could have played How Much a Dollar Cost. Well, How Much a Dollar Cost probably would have been an interesting vibe, given, I guess, the energy of a stadium. But you know what I mean. The Recipe is one of my favorite Kendrick songs of all time. Like, there's so many songs. Like, Loyalty could have been whipped out. I feel like Die Hard, even though it didn't get any, it wasn't like a single, so it didn't get radio play. I feel like Die Hard is like set up to be a radio song, bro. It's amazing that wasn't. I mean, I don't listen to the radio, to be honest with you, but it's amazing that song was not wasn't played on the radio. I know it didn't go through like a typical single process, but it sounds like it was meant for it. But it is what it is. Most of GNX was played. I think the only song from GNX that wasn't played was GNX, and that's because it's mainly other rappers, not Kendrick. But Whacked Out Murals, Squabble Up, Man at the Garden, Hey Now, Peekaboo, Gloria, Luther, like all these songs. Reincarnated was played, and it sounded amazing. He matches the energy of Reincarnated in person so well, and there are backing vocals for the part where it kind of switches between him and God and stuff like that. But it's all done so well, and the imagery is, and I talked about this in the other video that's deleted. I said I need to not do this, but the juxtaposition of like the color and the saturation in SZA's sets compared to Kendrick, where a lot of it is black and white, and then there's like splashes of color. Like, don't get me wrong, the Not Like Us section, DNA had color because it had like old VHS style footage. And there were other sections like the gold buying companies. I don't know if you've never seen like a gold buying commercial, like those really, I want to say obnoxious ones, then you won't know what I'm talking about. But there was a section that was like that. But there were like for Like That and for Good Credit and a lot of other songs, it was black and white with little splashes of color. Like with Like That, Bum would pop up in red letters and stuff like that. But I really like the way it was like Kendrick's sets, design wise weren't as, I guess, over the top and colorful, but he still, like during Reincarnated, when he had the stairs and he had the dancers on the side and they were bobbing their head to the beat of the song as he was rapping, the way it looks, it doesn't sound insane, but the way it looks is very like aesthetically, I mean, it's just cool. It just looks cool. And I think that the way he did Good Credit, which is a Playboi Carti song that Kendrick is featured on, in case you didn't know, the way he did that song in particular was so dope because I feel like it captured the Playboi Carti kind of rage aesthetic pretty well. Basically, he performed DNA and then he cut it right before it gets to the the section, the beat switch in the second half, and it cuts to Good Credit, right? And there's this huge screen in the back, but it splits in the center and opens up, and the lights shut off at the end of DNA, and then you heard the beginning of Good Credit play, and this red light shining behind the screen, and then the screen starts to split like this, and the red light, it kind of forms a line, but then it spreads out, and then you can see a bunch of dancers in the center of that little room as it spreads, and then as soon as that 808 kicks on Good Credit, the screen lights up, showing you the dancers going crazy in that little circle. And I mean, look up video of it. Like when it lights up, like when the pyrotechnics go off and it shows the dancers going crazy in the center, it literally captures that rage aesthetic so well. And Carti was not at our show. I did see that he was in Atlanta at the tour stop in Atlanta a few days before that, and people are going crazy over that. No surprise guest appearances this time, but still just, I mean, an absolutely amazing show, man. And we had a little bit of everything. If you know me, you know that there's certain songs that are like my favorites from every album. If we're being honest, like Money Trees from Good Kid, Mad City is one that I always want to hear. The Recipe is one that I know I'm never going to hear, but it's one that I secretly kind of hope to hear. To Pimp a Butterfly, I'm always hoping for like These Walls, but getting All Right and King Kunta is like, that's the cool thing, is even if you don't get all the songs you might have wanted from specific albums, which makes sense because, To Pimp a Butterfly is, like 10 years old at this point. And I can't remember exactly when it came out in 2015, right? I can't remember exactly what month it came out in, but expecting like a bunch of songs from that album is crazy, but he still played King Kunta and All Right. And it's crazy to me. Like if you only follow certain circles and certain conversations, you would be led to believe that Kendrick has like 2 or 3 songs and nobody else would know any other song. Meanwhile, you actually go to one of these concerts, you actually go to one of these stadium shows, and you're just surrounded by people that know Money Trees, Swimming Pools, like, and not just know the songs, like know the verses, singing the verses word for word. It's pretty exciting. It is exciting as a Kendrick fan to be surrounded by other Kendrick fans at that level, because it also kind of makes you seem a bit more tame. Because sometimes, don't get me wrong, like in this modern day and age, you don't want to seem like you're glazing a little bit too much. People throw around stan and glazing a little too often. It feels good to be surrounded by people that know these songs um as much as I do. You know what I mean? And like I said, you would be convinced in certain circles that like people only know not like us at this point, and you would be incorrect. At least in Charlotte, which, mind you, Charlotte, North Carolina, is the complete opposite side of the country. This isn't like, returning home. This isn't like a California show. You know what I mean? And it's not an Atlanta show where they have Cardi up there, or maybe, yeah, I know they didn't sneak in Future, but imagine if they did. Um, this is just North. This is North Carolina. No real, I guess, affiliation with Kendrick, but didn't matter. Did not matter. The rain didn't matter. Crowd was absolutely there, absolutely packed. Uh, the fact that it's, North Carolina, and there's no, I guess, affiliation that could be brought up when it comes to like artists, you know what I'm saying? Didn't matter. It's just, I mean, ever since I went, I've been kind of sad about the fact that I'm not back there. You know what I mean? And that kind of happens with like a lot of concerts I go to. If I like the artist, Kendrick isn't the only artist that I've ever liked. But anytime you go to see a show for an artist that you really really appreciate, there's always that feeling for like the week after where you're like, man, I wish I was back there and not, I don't know, recording a YouTube video. It kind of makes all of the things that I was recording YouTube videos about before this seem so, like, I can't even tell you how much I've kind of looked back at like the things that I've made videos on and been like, this is all kind of is mad. Like, I don't care about this stuff. And if you know everything related to like these YouTubers and their petty stupid drama, I know that the point I've been making is like that you shouldn't care about YouTubers and their weird petty drama, but like like you almost feel like you're just complete, like you're wasting time just even discussing it in a lighthearted sense. I'm of the impression that just recording a video is not hard, and making comments is not hard. It's like one of the easiest things you can do. People act like if you left a paragraph or two, oh, you must be really invested. You left 2 paragraphs. It takes me like 30 seconds to write 2 paragraphs. I'm built different. Okay. As I said in one of the other videos, bro, I was born potty trained. Okay. Now that's just, I mean, I'm just saying, who even knows what that means? But I mean, if you've ever been around like an infant, they don't know how to use the toilet. You know what I'm saying? Me though, instantly. Okay. So some of us, it's not that much effort, but it does seem, it is one of those things that makes you, once you return back to like, I guess, the regular life, you go, ugh, I should be doing more than this. That should be me up on stage. No, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that it is like, imagine creating something that gets that many people in a stadium. And this is just one state. This isn't, this isn't Atlanta. This isn't Texas. This isn't, any other stop along the tour. It's not Philly. I don't know where they are now, where they're going to next. I can't remember. But you get the idea, I would think. You understand what I'm saying. It is insane to think that the art that those two have created, SZA and Kendrick, is able to fill a stadium like that. And there's so many people there that just know these songs in and out. Like it's that dream. It's the whole, if you are into creating music or any type of art, that should be the whole, like, fuck the money. The money's cool. I'm not going to deny that. Fuck the fame. But the idea of like creating something that affects that many people in that way is impressive. I mean, just genuinely. I think secretly, a lot of people wish they could do that. And Kendrick and SZA have.